A very good morning to everyone. Myself Farheen Khan and I am MSc second year student, and today I am going to demonstrate about female pelvic important part, and we should know the anatomy, the diameters and the physiology of female pelvis. So here we are going to start with the anatomy of the female pelvis. So this is a female pelvis that you are seeing. Female pelvis is made up of three bones. What are these three bones? One is the sacrum, second is the coccyx, third is the two innominate bones. This is the first innominate bone and this is the second innominate bone. The one innominate bone, that is each innominate bone is made up of three fusion of three bones. What are these three bones? This is the ilium, the ischium and the pubis. Also, the female pelvis has three types of joints. What are these three joints? First joint is the symphysis pubis. The symphysis pubis, and what type of joint is between the symphysis pubis is the fibrocartilaginous joint. Second joint is the sacroiliac joint between the sacrum and the ilium. So sacroiliac type of synovial joint. The third joint is the sacrococcygeal joint, is a type of synovial hinge joint. So these are the three types of joints. Female pelvis is divided into two parts, that is the true pelvis and the false pelvis. So what do you mean by the true pelvis and false pelvis? So here, to differentiate the true pelvis and the false pelvis, we are having a brim. What is a brim? This line here which you can see, this line is known as a brim. So there are landmarks on the brim. First, if we start from the posterior to the anterior part, the brim has, first from posterior is the premotory. Here you can see the sacral premotory. This is the ala of sacrum. This is the sacral premotory. This is the ala of sacrum joint, the sacroiliac joint, iliopectineal line. This is pectineal eminence, the iliopectineal eminence. This one here is the pubic tubercle, and this one is the pubic crest, and after the pubic crest here is the upper border of the symphysis pubis. So this here is known as the pelvic brim. The pelvis will be divided into two parts, that is the true pelvis and the false pelvis. So above the brim here is the false pelvis. Why we are saying this is as a false pelvis? Because it does not have any obstetrical significance. Why? Because it just helps in holding the baby before delivery, while the obstetrical significance is of true pelvis, which is situated below the brim. So this is the brim, and below this part, here you can say below this part is known as the true brim. This is the true brim, and during the delivery process or during the labor process, it will be dilated and help in the passage of the fetus. So this is about the anatomy of the maternal pelvis. This has three parts: the pelvic inlet, the pelvic inlet from which the head of the baby will enter is known as the pelvic inlet. The next part is the pelvic cavity from which the baby will travel down, and next is the pelvic outlet from which the baby will be coming out. So now we are going to see about the pelvic inlet. So first thing what I am going to tell is the most common type of pelvic inlet is of the transverse oval type, and which is seen in a type of gynecoid pelvis. And also one more thing that I need to highlight, and it has a very important obstetrical significance, that the plane of the pelvic inlet, our pelvis is not situated like this in a horizontal plane, but because femur has to be attached here, it is like this. The femur will be coming here like this. So it is a slight angle is there. If we make an angle, like if from horizontal, if we want to make an angle, the angle which we can get here is of 55 degree. So it has an obstetrical significance. Why I am going to telling you this? Because if the angle of inclination is high angle of inclination means what? The pelvic will be tilted like this, and now if we make an angle from horizontal, it will be increased more than 55. So what it will favor? It will favor more of a occipital posterior position, because the exact position of pelvis is like this. So it won't be favoring a occipital posterior position, like a direct posterior position. But if the angle of inclination is increased more than 55 degree, the pelvis will become like this, and it will favor direct occipital posterior positions, and that can have complications into the normal labor. We are going to learn about the diameters of the pelvis. So the pelvis inlet has three types of diameters: the anterior posterior diameter, the transverse diameter, and the oblique diameter. So the anterior posterior diameter has three types of diameters. So what are these three types of diameters? First one is the anatomical conjugate. The anatomical conjugate is extended from the midpoint of the sacral premotory to the upper point of the symphysis pubis, and it is 11 centimeter. The second is the obstetrical conjugate, which is the true conjugate. Why? Because the baby will be coming down from inside. So obstetrical conjugate is of the obstetrical importance. So where it is extending from the midpoint of the sacral premotory to the midpoint of the symphysis pubis. So this is from 10 to 10.5 centimeters. Then third is diagonal conjugate, which extend from the lower border of the symphysis pubis to the midpoint of the sacral premotory, and this is the only conjugate which we calculate, and it is 13 centimeter. How? If we take our fingers, and we should know the length of our fingers, and that how many centimeters is there. If we insert these fingers from downward into the symphysis pubis and we touch the sacral premotory, we can get to know that how much diameter is it. If it is 13 centimeters, if we can say, so we can subtract 1 centimeter and 1.5 centimeter, and we can get our obstetrical conjugate, that is 10.5 centimeters. If the obstetrical conjugate is less than 10 or 10.5 centimeter, then we can say that the pelvis is inadequate, or there is some cephalopelvic disproportionation into the pelvis. Next diameter of the inlet are the transverse diameter. The transverse diameter is extended on the two farthermost point on the iliopectineal line. The two farthermost point on the iliopectineal line, and it is measuring 13 centimeters. So the last diameter is the oblique diameter. The oblique diameter is extending from, the right oblique diameter will be extending from the right sacroiliac joint to the left iliopubic eminence. Similarly, the left oblique diameter will be extending from the left sacroiliac joint to the right iliopubic eminence. Oblique diameter is measuring 12 centimeters. So this is about the diameters of the pelvic inlet. Now we are going to learn about the diameters of the pelvic cavity. It is round in shape, and from above it is bounded by the pelvic brim. From lower it is bounded by mid pelvis, and from anterior side it is bounded by the symphysis pubis, and from posterior by the sacral premotory, as we can see here. The diameters of the pelvic inlet are as follows. The anterior posterior diameter of the inlet is 12 centimeter, and as well as the transverse diameter of the is also 12 centimeters. The main point here is we need to know about is that about mid pelvis. The mid pelvis lies at the level of the ischial spines. Here you can see these are the ischial spines. These conical bones are the ischial spines. It has a very much significance that I am going to tell. The mid pelvis extending anteriorly from the lower border of the symphysis pubis, laterally by the ischial spines, and posteriorly between the fourth and fifth sacral vertebra. Pelvis is also known as mid-plane or the plane of least pelvic dimensions. And why am I talking about the mid-pelvis? Because it has many significances. For example, so at the level of mid-pelvis there will be internal rotation. So most cases of deep transfer arrest occurs at this level, at the level of mid-pelvis. and it is also marks as the point for giving the pudendal block. Ischial spine is also known as the zero station. We mark the zero station at the level of the ischial spines, and also the external os lies at the level lies at this level. So we know that mid pelvis is of very significance. Well, then what are the diameters of the mid pelvis? The ischial spines, the diameter of the ischial spines is 10 centimeters. That is the transverse diameter, we can say. For the anterior portion between the S4 and axis to the lower border of the symphysis pubis, 11 to 12 centimeters. So this is all about the pelvic cavity. The last part is the pelvic outlet. The pelvic outlet has landmarks, and which is from, if we can see here, the landmarks are the symphysis pubis. After symphysis pubis there is pubic arc. After the pubic arc there is ischial tuberosities. These are the ischial tuberosities, and after the ischial tuberosity there will be some two ligaments. The two ligaments are the sacrospinous and sacrotuberous ligaments, and last part is the tip of the coccyx. So it makes it in a shape of a rhombus. So the outlet will be looking like a rhombus. And there are also diameters of the outlet. The diameters are as follows. The anterior posterior diameter will be extending from the lower border of the symphysis pubis to the tip of the coccyx, and it will be measuring around the 13 centimeters. And the transverse diameter will be extending from the inner part of the ischial tuberosities, and it is measuring 11 centimeters. So this is all about the female pelvis. We have learned about the anatomy, what are the joints of the female pelvis, what are the landmarks over the brim, the pelvic inlet, the pelvic cavity, and also the pelvic outlet.